Hello. Welcome to the Real Money Coach Show. Listen, it is Tuesday. It's 8 p.m. Eastern time. And so it is Real Money Coach time. And I'm so glad that you are watching. What I need you to do. Hey, Claire, how you doing? Is put in the chat box where you're watching from. Claire, I don't know if you're in North Carolina or you're in Washington State. I don't know which end of the country you're on, but it was great to see you in Punta Cana and with your boys. They were handsome, looking good that night. When wife was talking about them boys were just handsome. Them boys were just handsome in the DR. So we got a great show for you tonight. You know, one of the pillars that we talk about is real estate. Real estate is such an important pillar in terms of our wealth journey. And for many of us, meaning many of us Americans and others, one of the very big components of our wealth is our home. And when you think about the number of homes or number of years, number of circumstances, number of different, all kinds of reasons why we didn't get the chance to participate in the home buying process, right? And even today, you know, African Americans are about 40% homeowners compared to other groups that are, 72% homeowners. It is still a big reason why we have a tremendous wealth gap in America. And so we're going to be talking about real estate because that is one of our pillars, right? That is one of our pillars. And so Arrow said this is better than college, man. Arrow, come on, but we ain't charging no tuition, Arrow. All we want you to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all we want you to do. And so Arrow's a great friend that was on our show not too long ago talking about options and option trading, something I've become very fond of. As a matter of fact, our guest tonight may have even met Arrow, maybe been in some of the workshops that we were at because we all I met Arrow at the All Black National Conference and Convention, in Atlanta. And that's why I met Arrow. Of course, I have a relationship with Dr. Boyce Watkins. And so, matter of fact, speaking of Dr. Boyce Watkins, I will be with him again come this July at the Power Networking Conference. And we should have to cue that up. But the Power Networking Conference right now, we have some names that you may recognize that will be featured there. Dr. Boyce Watkins, as I was just talking about, Master P will be there. We will also have, there will be Bob Marley's son will be there. And I'm trying to think. Also John Hope Bryant will be there. And so it's going to be a great conference. We got, 4 different tracks. We got the Power Networking Men, Power Networking Women, Power Networking Couples, and the Power Networking Millennials. So it's going to be a great conference here in the Queen City. Come and network. And what's going to be nice about it, it's going to be the right size conference where people will be able to network and develop some relationships. Still, there's vendor spots available, coaching spots available, from my understanding from a meeting today. And so come and be a part of that. A couple other quick announcements is on July 7th and 8th, we will be having a men's conference at the Mount Carmel Baptist Church here in Charlotte. I will be one of the speakers, presenters. And so that you can go to Mount Carmel, Charlotte.org. We'll have more information on that tomorrow. We'll probably have a guest or two come on the show talking about that conference, which will take place July 7th and 8th here in Charlotte. And I think that's my announcements for now. Oh, I have another announcement. Let's bring Michelle on before I make this next announcement, because this person is related to her. He's tied to her. So let's bring on my co-host, Michelle Mitchell.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good, good. How, I was thinking about how are things in Kalamazoo? I mean, you guys, the Portage area was hit really hard with the
Yeah.
tornadoes. Saw a lot of pictures of some of those damages. How's things in
Um, we had no loss of life, so that was
awesome?
amazing. Um, and the cleanup process is on underway.
Yeah,
So there was a lot of damage. There were actually 4 tornadoes that day
yeah,
in and around Kalamazoo. So
yeah. That's pretty
we are
serious. I saw
blessed.
some of the pictures.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, it was
And the
pretty.
thing is, it wasn't a warm day. You would think that a tornado would spawn on a warm day, but it was like in the low 60s probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's warm for y'all.
Well, it is. People were probably outside in shorts and
Right, right,
sandals,
right, right.
but it was,
It wasn't
I would
like,
it
yeah,
it wasn't like a 80-degree day or
like
anything.
the conditions
Yeah,
weren't
the con yeah,
yeah,
mhm,
so
and
good.
thanks to Alexa, I got a warning before my phone went off, so
Really? So
yeah,
Alexa told you that the tornado, oh,
yeah, mhm,
wow,
yeah.
okay. See that technology stuff,
I
man.
know, right?
That's for real. That's for real.
Yeah,
Well, what the announcement I was going to make before you came on is that your brother Von Clement down there in Fort Worth, Texas, we're going to be doing a series, financial literacy series for first or
first
First
yeah,
St. John's
first thing yeah,
Cathedral.
yeah.
Bishop Kidder Spears. So we're going to be doing that starting this Sunday.
Oh,
Uh,
cool.
or not this Sunday, this Saturday. This
Okay,
Saturday at uh, it'll be 10 Eastern, 9 Central, and anyone's welcome to come. It's going to be a master class on my book,
okay.
and it's going to be on my normal Zoom. So this is easy for y'all to remember. It's just TonyJacksonZoom.com. Tony Jackson. That's right. We're gonna get some people financially free, man. We're gonna get them broken away from their debt. We're gonna get them
Right.
broken away from bad habits. We're gonna do all those. So that is coming up. The first installment of a monthly webinar will take place on the I guess it's the 18th. I think
Okay.
that's the date. So that's coming up as well. So anything you got going?
Um, right now, not at the moment, but we are gear remember last year you participated in our Bridge the Gap Summit? We are
Mhm.
gonna do that again. So I'm looking for new interviewees.
That'll be
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Barry Braxton, thank you for joining us. Barry, I believe Barry's in the New Jersey, New York area. Um, good to have you here tonight as well as we talk about and what's interesting, Barry's into real estate. He's kind of a real estate developer himself.
Mhm.
And so, real estate, Michelle, is just a lot of people are very interested in doing things in real estate.
I know I am.
Yeah. I mean,
I am.
because
Yes.
last I knew, they wasn't making no more land, right?
That's right.
So, um,
That's
so
right.
get you a piece of land and hang on to it.
Yeah.
Alice Martin, thank you for joining us as always. And
I
so,
was just about to say, where are our regulars?
yeah, um, and we don't want to call their name out, but we got some regulars that just been hanging with us
Yeah. For
for years.
years.
For years, and we appreciate everyone watching. I did not, and I should have put in there because now that StreamYard's changed that where we can't, um, where we can't put the stream to the private group.
Right.
We needed to drop something in there, and I may do that as we go through the show, so people know where to find us over here on YouTube,
Yep.
LinkedIn, Instagram,
That's right.
all of that.
All of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's do this, Dante. Let's take a quick commercial break and we're going to come back and I'm going to have Demetrius Wilson and he's going to share his experiences with us. And we're going to talk a little bit about some real estate.
Do you have passion for your business but feel like your finances are falling short?
Running a business takes more than a great idea. It takes a solid financial plan. Mitchell Consulting can help you turn your passion into profit with their financial advisory services. Get the financial guidance your business needs. Contact Mitchell Consulting to learn more about their passion to profit capabilities.
Imagine a life where financial wellness isn't just a dream, but your reality. Welcome to a journey where increasing, protecting, and dominating your money becomes the new normal. With the Real Money Coach, embark on a path towards legacy wealth. Your financial future is not just a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. It all begins with your free financial wellness checkup. Join us at the Real Money Coach and discover the steps to secure a legacy of wealth for your family. The keys to true financial freedom are within your grasp. Let's build that future, starting now.
Awesome. So, Michelle, as always, we do want to tell people who are listening and not looking, how do they get a hold of Mitchell Consulting?
You can go to mitchellconsultingservice.com.
There you go. And listen, for the Real Money Coach, you just go to therealmoneycoach.com. And let me tell you what you're going to find there. When you go there, you're going to find two things that I think are very intriguing. Number one is you can do a free financial wellness checkup. And we're going to give you a few grades as it relates to overall grade. We're going to give you a grade on your money habits. We're going to give you a grade on your financial planning. We're going to give you a grade on your just overall planning, and then also on your insurance. So make sure you do that. That is free at the website, therealmoneycoach.com. And also for those of you who are concerned about retirement, you can get a free estimate of what your taxes will be like in retirement. Now, I want you to sit down when you do that, because most people are very surprised at how much they actually will have to pay in taxes. I mean, it's like, wow, it just hits you right in the face. But, you know, my thing, Michelle, always is if I know what to expect, then I can start to make plans to adjust for that.
Right.
And so even today, go ahead.
Knowledge is power. Like,
it is.
If you know enough in advance, like, you have time to plan. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
you just have time.
It's like the blind leading blind. Now, Michelle, I just noticed that we did not coordinate our colors today, but you know
we did not. But look at this.
Look, we're in there, right? We're in there. So
right.
The other thing is CBNC put out an article today that talked about retirement planning, and you guys, you'll hear more about this if you tune in to Praise 100.9 tomorrow at 10 or 11, 15-ish. Melody in the middle plays my Money Minute about then. But I think this is a topic I'm going to talk about. For years, financial planners have said this. They said that you need to take 4% of your total retirement assets out on an annual basis and be comfortable that that money will not run out in your lifetime. Okay.
That makes sense.
Right. So here's the thing. So if you have $1 million worth of retirement assets, that means that you can take 40,000 out a year.
Right.
So what the article talks about and what we've been doing for years is showing that we can use annuities in a mix that will allow you to increase that by $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Okay. So instead of getting 40,000, you can get 52 to 60,000.
Right.
And then the other piece is that we like to do it in thirds. Like a third of it stays in the regular brokerage account, a third into an annuity, and then a third into something that's going to be a tax-free environment. And so to learn more about that, you can just schedule with me on my website. But that's what I think I'm going to be talking about. And I'll put a little social media post out about it because it's important.
Yes.
So I got all that out.
Yes.
Now it's time for our guest, for the man of the hour, for the one that's going to come on and drop some knowledge and share some stuff with us. He is Demetrius Wilson. Demetrius, come on stage with us, my brother. All right, there he is. Hey, Demetrius, how you doing?
Man, Tony Jackson, I'm doing great. I just want to thank you so much for just giving me this opportunity, and allowing me to be here. You as well, Michelle Mitchell. Y'all just have like really easy names. Tony Jackson. It goes off the tongue.
Well, people still misspell it though. I'm just trying to
Right.
think, right? You don't spell my name with an I, right? So I
Yeah.
get mail that says Tiny Jackson,
Tiny. Really?
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah, that's why I don't go by my first name. It's just they miss it every time.
they miss it. Yeah. Well, man, it's good to have you on. We met, about I guess last fall at Boyce Watkins conference, and I know you attended the conference, and then someone connected us since then. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I find that just like with this career, just going to networking events, you kind of like, oh, I'll meet him here. And then what we talked about was Power Networking Conference with Dr. George Frazier. But then this came up and I was like, wait a minute, I know Tony. It's like, oh, wow. It's like making inroads into like this industry of just, networking. Like it didn't come back how I thought it would, but it actually came back sooner.
Right. So, and just shout out to Ari Squares again for connecting us or reconnecting us.
Reconnecting.
And so,
wait a minute, that's 2 from Ari.
That's 2 in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yes, last week is for Ari. So she's been sending some people here and supporting us in that way. And so we just want to thank her for that. And yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about your background. I know you got a military background. So give us the tea, man. Tell us
about
what's going on.
I'll be honest with you guys, of course, since you asked, but my background, my story, it's really one of a kind. And I just say that with all grace, you know what I'm saying? Because so right after high school, I joined the military. My dad, he's a Marine veteran, so he was like really big on, hey, join the military. And I did pretty well in school. I was in you may have heard of it, may not. I was in the IB program, International Baccalaureate, over in Douglas County, and I have a lot of options. So I was like, what? Like I don't need to, but he really convinced me to join the military. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. Went into the Air Force. I took the ASVAB, got a 99, went into the Air Force, went to basic training, went to tech school over in Keesler in Mississippi. That was about 9 months. So I had a pretty good thing going for me in the computer networking industry. I was an IT specialist, so routers, switches, internet infrastructure. That was what all of my training was around. So my plan at that time, back when I was I went to the military right after high school. So my plan at that time was I'm gonna work this military job for my contract is a 6-year contract. Save up some money. I'm gonna get these certifications and be making like $100,000 a year. I got a friend, he was making $100,000 right after basic training and tech school. About 6 months later, he got a job on the base. So I was like, that's my pretty much, that's my path. That's where I'm going. Get these certifications and then eventually invest in real estate or find some way to start a business with this technology that I'm learning about as far as like computer infrastructure and cybersecurity. But God had other plans actually. So I came back from my military training. I had just enough money saved up from my military training to buy my first car. I bought a first car for like $2,500. I went out one night, one weekend, first time going out back from training. Boom, I get rear-ended by a drunk driver.
Mm.
And that to me was like, what? Like, I'm like, I've never been in any car accidents. It was just astounding. It was profound. I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm alive.
Wow.
And so my brother, he took me to the police station to get the police report from this car accident that I was just in about 3 weeks earlier. So On the way back from the police station, kid you not, we actually get T-boned by an 18-wheeler.
Wow.
And that to me, that was one of the I mean, the military was already life-changing, but it was like back to back. This was like one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever been through. I broke both my legs. And you know, before we got on here, I was walking around, so you can't even tell now, but I broke both my legs. I had a broken rib, I had a lung contusion, I had a concussion. I was in Grady Hospital for 11 days, 2 surgeries. Um, I got a rod inside my femur, and I have a plate on my tibia. So I just, I just thank God because I could have died, like, very easily.
Right.
But they were like, no, you're good, you're not dead. I was like, well, just let me know, like, just tell me. I love my mom, I love my dad. They're like, no, you're not dead, your legs are broken. I was like, oh my, get me to the hospital. like I need help seriously. So that was its own process. It essentially derailed every plan I had at the time. It ended my military career. I was going to college. I planned on going to college right after I got back from basic training. Camp that was out of the window. Because I can't. I was in a wheelchair, so I can't walk around campus or do anything like that. So I had to just recover. I was just bedridden for about 6 months. Pretty fast recovery. Everyone's like, bro, if you was my age, you wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it. But I was young when this happened. I was 19 when this happened. So just youthful energy, and I was like, man, I almost died. Like, what happened? Like, my whole life just got derailed. Like, not going to college, military's over. But I guess I just knew there was a silver lining. Like, I would get a settlement at some point down the line, whatever it would happen to be. So I was like, now I'm thinking like, okay, well, I already wanted to get into real estate. I guess whenever this money comes through, I'll invest in the real estate. But at the time, I was like, I didn't really know anything about it. I just know I wanted to get in real estate. So then that's when I started doing research about, let me get my real estate license. Like, since I'm not doing anything else, just sitting at home all day recovering, I started reading books on how to get my real estate license, started reading about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, The Millionaire Next Door, Think and Grow Rich, Richest Man in Babylon. Just started
all great books. Just the what's hitting me on it though is when you said you were 19. Because you got to think of a 19-year-old just out of high school. That's a lot of trauma and stuff to go through at such a young age. And so
it was intense. Like, I was like, I tell you, it's like I know what it's like to be old, like not old, but like feeble. Like, I can't even, I had to use a walker. I can't even like be by myself. And it was just like so crushing. Like, all my, no college, like, that's gone. It was like, what? That's the whole thing. Like, I just finally made it through the military, and I finally have like some freedom to like do, the things I want to do. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't. You gotta sit back down for another 9 months to a year. And that was just, I was like, well, I'm gonna just have to just do something, because I've always had an active mind. I've always been like thinking about things. So I was like, let me read some books. Let me capitalize on this trauma. I mean, it sucked, but at least I'm not dead. Like, that's how I'm looking at it. Like,
right.
At least, I'm sure some people wouldn't have made it. And my brother, he was cool. I mean, he got dinged up, but he actually had to pull me out of the car because I couldn't walk. Like, my legs was broken. I couldn't move my legs. So I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It's confusing. Like, I'm panicking. Never had anything like this ever. I'm sure no one has, but it was just a real, just like, coming to Jesus type of moment where it's just like, man, I'm just so grateful I'm still alive. Like, I got another opportunity. Like, I'm supposed to be here doing something.
Right.
So I'm not gonna waste it on just doing nothing. Just fiddle it away. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just have to just recover. I'm gonna recover eventually, and then when I recover, I'm gonna make the most of whatever comes next. And that's pretty much what I did. I was just like, I just started reading, studying, and then I got my real estate license in October of that year. And then I got my settlement money from the car accident around the same time, but I was very hush hush. Like, I just wasn't trying to tell really anybody. I really didn't tell anybody outside of my immediate family. I mean, I literally told no one. And I just started just working real estate because I know I wanted to invest in real estate. I need to learn how to read a contract, how to write a contract, how to close a deal, how do I actually buy the property? Like, how do I now own it? Like, I have this dream of owning real estate. It's kind of, for me, it just kind of got accelerated as far as like, okay, I thought I was going to have to work, in the military and use that certification, but it was like, well, boom, here's the money. I was like, okay, well, I got the money, but that's not enough. Like, the point is I want to own some real estate.
Right.
So I got to figure that out. So then I started just working, selling real estate. I sold 6 houses in 6 months, just doing cold calling, door knocking, just doing what, people say to do as far as how do you make sales in real estate, so I could learn how to actually work with contractors so I wouldn't get taken advantage of. Because I kind of knew at that point, was like, I don't really know anything, so I'm pretty much gonna get swindled because I really don't know anything. So I was like, let me just sit on this money for about 6 months to a year. I just sat on it, sold some houses, and then after that, I started investing in the real estate. Like, every day I would look on the MLS, see what deals are up there. And then from there, I just was like, you know what? I had some people around me, like my lawyer, who did my actual case. He was like, he invested in real estate. He's like, you're gonna take some losses, so just understand that there's an education with everything. So I was like, well, let me just get into it. Bought a quadruplex, and I started renovating it, and I started going from there. Bought that quadruplex for what did I pay for that? I paid $100,000 for that. I put another $100,000 into it, and then when I eventually sold it, I sold it for $250 about 4 years later. So it was okay as far as a deal goes, but I mean, pretty great for my first deal, because not only did I didn't have a loan on the property, so all the money was just straight cash flow. I also refinanced it while I owned it and pulled out about $130K, and did some things with that. And then I sold it later on for $250 and still, walked away with about $50,000 in profit after I had did that. And simultaneously, when I bought that first quadruplex, my mindset was, hey man, you got to take your lumps, man. Go ahead and just get you another one. You're gonna have to learn somehow. I bought a second quadruplex. I renovated that one. I paid $86,000 for that one, and then I put about $115 into it in the renovations. And so recently, I held on to that one for about 6 years. I sold that one last year for $500,000. So I also took out a loan. I refinanced it about 2-3 years ago. Pulled out about I was about 140. And then just sold it last year for 500. Walked away with like 330. And I'm on to the next project.
Yes.
So what lessons did you learn on those first couple properties that you like? I'm not gonna do that again.
Man, so many. Like, a big one is like thinking that just because you have money, that's enough. And that is, it's so far from the truth. Like, you have to have a plan of what to do with this money, and then work that plan, and then understand, to your point, as far as like, when people have $1 million in, assets in their retirement, that's not enough to just, I got money in the bank. You have to have a plan on how you're going to make that work for your life,
Right.
your lifestyle. I mean, again, I'm 19 at the time, probably around 20 at this time, but just people, man, I really didn't know people, like how like we're all upstanding people, do good things, but I didn't know how just bad people can be when it comes to money.
Ethics, brother, ethics, right?
Ethics, yes. Things that people will say, do to try to get money out of you. It's like that, it's like I was a fool with money, right? So I learned from them, like, yo, okay, like they're like one guy, there's like, yeah, this roof is gonna, replace this roof. It's 20 grand. And so I'm like, okay, it's 20 grand. I go get the money out of my bank and give them 20 grand in cash up front. It's like, dude, no way. Like, I mean, I was lucky they came back. Like they actually finished it, but I was lucky they finished the job. Like, I didn't realize, like, man, I should pay them, a third maybe up front, or maybe even at that amount, maybe just give them like 3 or 4 grand up front, and then as they complete the project, like, then pay them in installments. I was so trusting. I was like, here's all the money. Like, yeah, you're gonna finish the project. Like,
In cash, by the way.
yeah, it was just like, that was one thing, like, just understanding that, like, there are a lot of unethical people who call themselves business people or professionals who are just looking to come up off of somebody else's ignorance, mine in this case. Just understanding that, like, not everyone knows this, what they say they know. Everyone thinks they're an expert, and they're really not. Another one was just that, like, just because one person, like, I had a property manager. She was a property manager for, like, how do I say this? Like weekly rentals. She was a weekly rental property manager. So I asked her to come property manage my building. And I'm thinking, like, oh, no big deal. She's putting the people who are weekly rental people into this place where you have to pay the rent by the month. And I'm thinking, like, no big deal. Like, just no difference. Like, you pay $300 a week over here, you pay $750 a month over here, you're actually saving money. That's how my mind is thinking it. And it's like, that's not the case. Like everyone is in a financial situation. Like, they need to pay by the weekly because that's how they spend their money. Those are their spending habits.
Right.
They don't save money to the end of the month to pay their rent at the end of the month. They already spent the money on whatever they needed to spend it on. So I was like, why aren't they paying the rent? Like, what's going on? I thought they're paying less. Like, it's a better deal. It's like, well, they already spent their money. I was like, what? Like, so, that was a whole thing of just having to get them out of there, and I had to just let her go because we just weren't seeing eye to eye. I was like, you need to bring in people who are monthly rental, not weekly rental.
But you know what I like about this, Demetrius? I mean, honestly, this is just a real conversation because so often people come in and we hear all of the good stories. We hear all of the, we don't hear the stories like you're telling us, like, just so keeping it 100. I mean, I think that's good because sometimes people get this glamorous idea of what it's going to be like to own real estate and other investments, not just real estate, but they have this glamorous idea of it, not knowing that there's some dirty parts to this business too, right? Of this real estate.
Yeah, it is definitely dirty. That's one of the things that it really like burned me. Like, it really turned me off. Like, this is like my dream and I'm doing it and I have the money to do it, but like, I didn't realize this is what it comes with. And that was more so because I was just new, and it was just like, I read a lot of books. You can see all these books I got in here, but it was just, reading the book and actually going through the experience itself are two totally different things. Like, you might have an idea, but this is reality because it's based off your personality. Like, we all have things we don't see. So now what I've learned from that is that I have systems in place for tenants, whether it's the tenant screening, the eviction process. as for how to find tenants, how to advertise for tenants, how to find property managers, how to find contractors, how to advertise for contractors, how to find these deals to make the deal lucrative enough. So if I do make a mistake, there's still enough money in the deal to
There's
cover that mistake.
yeah.
Right.
I
He
like to
has a
say,
strategy now.
yes. I
So
like to say,
you become from a real estate investor to a real estate strategist, right? Because now,
Right.
yeah,
yeah, it's not enough to, like you said, not enough to just have a plan. You have to really have a real strategy and
Yeah.
then work that. So now, like, I like to say that a lot of people, they call on me to invest actively in real estate while they invest passively in real estate.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because if you want to invest actively, it's your turn to get to go through all of these lessons that you think you know. Oh yeah, you just buy a house and you just put a tenant in it, and it's like, yes, it is like that, but you don't realize you don't have a lot of the foundational aspects of just going into these things of like finding these people. What's a good deal? What's not a good deal? What's a good tenant? What's not a good tenant? Oh, this person's saying they they got this job making $4,000 a month. When did you get this job? I got hired yesterday. Okay, so you don't really, you just kind of you just put some numbers on here. So you can do that if you want to invest actively, like, and that's the I would say that's the path I've chosen to take, is to encounter these things and learn from them. But I also give people the opportunity to say, instead of you having to switch your whole career, whatever you happen to be doing, whether you're, a firefighter or a dentist or a doctor or, a barbershop person, or you got a salon, you have to learn how to be the best at that. So instead of you trying to say, I want to get into real estate and be the best at that, I'm giving you the opportunity to invest alongside me. I've already taken the L's and taken the losses. You can just work with me, and I'll be the operator, and you can come on and get a portion of the profits and get a return on investment for your capital. So you know that you're getting a good deal. But a lot of times I find, and this is what's wrong with the Black community, we don't trust each other.
right.
And you can't say you want to invest with me in real estate, and I say, hey, yeah, you can invest with me. I just need anywhere from $50 to $100 to $200,000. You can say all day long you want to invest in real estate, but if you don't trust me to give me that money to go do what I am qualified and educated on doing, you're not going to get in a better position. I don't care. I mean, I don't like saying it like that, but I'm still going to continue growing. But since you don't have an ability to trust, it's going to hold you back from your financial goals and your financial freedom. So what I've done to overcome that is I teach a lot of people how to invest in real estate, so they're more comfortable with that. So if you go to my Instagram at Demetrius Wilson 444, I have a link in my bio where I have a free ebook. So you click that link, and then it's you'll see an option for Demetrius's real estate dictionary. I wrote a dictionary so people can get familiar with the language of real estate. I work with a lot of older people who are in their 50s, late 40s.
Hold on.
Y'all are set apart. You already know that. They're like, man, we hear you talk about this real estate. It sounds like a foreign language. And I'm like, I get it. Like, it's, me even explaining to them, like, you know what, if you give me $50,000, your return on investment is going to be 10% a year. Your cash on cash, you can expect to be 20%. They've left the conversation. So, they're not able to really get into the wealth because they can't understand the conversation. So that's why I write these books, so people can get a chance to get into the conversation, so they know what the ARV is, after repair value is. They know what an appraisal is, because a lot of people, they've never bought real estate, so they don't know any of these things. But they hear about real estate. They hear, oh man, you did one deal and you made $1 million. They hear that, and it's nice, and that happens every day. But the mechanics behind it is where I come in and I educate people on that. So I put a newsletter together. So you get on my newsletter, you'll be able to hear a lot of the education, where it's like, what's the difference between good debt and bad debt? A lot of times we're educated on, get out of debt. debt is bad. But when it comes to buying your home, you want to get a loan. Like, you don't want to pay $250,000 cash for a house. You want to get a loan for that. So that's what we consider good debt. That's what you need to put you in a position to where you can live that comfortable lifestyle. You need to get a loan. And to get that loan, you got to have good credit. There's a lot of conversations out there in our community that we don't need credit. And that's unfortunate, because you do need credit. You need credit for a car. You need credit for an apartment. You need credit for a house. You need credit for everything, essentially. And we have to be able to be educated on, yes, I would say there are a lot of systematic racisms that are going on in this country, but we got to do what we can do, at least to a degree, to a standard, to where we can at least get what's available to us with what we have available to us, which is access to credit, access to loans, home loans, property loans, business loans. And for that, you got to have good credit. And then once you start getting those things, then you can start buying and investing in the real estate. Now, caveat to that is that you can buy real estate from an owner who owns the house free and clear and do owner financing.
Right.
But to do that, you have to have the education. You have to understand what is owner financing. Like, I'm just throwing a word out there, a term, but there's a lot more in underneath that. Like, they're the mortgager, they're the bank, but you still have to have that education to even function and operate that. Because I would say, you probably only need between 10 to 15 grand to buy a property. So, I just like to educate people first, so we can build that trust. And then from there, then the conversation can really open up to where people are able to get access to these deals and these opportunities that are all out there. It's just, you got to learn. You got to learn what it is.
And I think that's good. I mean, I think the education piece is always important, that we educate our customers, we educate the people on our teams. Education is really the key to unlocking a lot of this, because if you don't know what you don't know, right?
Nope.
And so, I commend you for, having resources available to people. I love the real estate dictionary.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, because there are a lot of terms. There's a lot of jargon, there's a lot of different things. And, the more we can help educate people, the more that becomes. And one of the things that I talked about before we came on is that, in the Black community, African American community, there's only about 42% home ownership. So that means that more than half of our communities never purchased a home. So
in your opinion, and I know you're a little bit older than me, probably about 2 or 3 years. What
you trying to
Right.
fix that, Michelle? You trying to fix
I know, right?
Squash him down there, get him, boy.
I'm a freshman, you're a senior. What do you? Why do you think that is? Like, what's holding people back? And I can speak to that.
Well, again, I think we've talked a lot about it. That some of it is the education. Some of it is not just education about the process, but educating what you need to do to be in a position to get a home, right? And I think in today's environment, that education is even more important. One is because of, we are in a high interest rate environment right now. I think that does scare people from getting into property. I don't think you should let it scare you, because, so I think that's a big part of it, is understanding the process. And here's the other piece. If I've never owned a home, or my parents didn't own a home, if that never happened for me, I have no other references to say, okay, I want a home, I want to own a home, and what does it require to do it?
And am I willing to make the sacrifice?
Am I willing to make the sacrifice?
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. We live in a gig economy, right? We're talking about Uber. we're talking about Lyft, we're talking about Grubhub, we're talking about these type of gig employment. Well, those type of employment positions, because they're 1099, it's a different dynamic for someone to go out and buy a home. And you need to prepare for that. And we're having more and more of that. So I think there's a number of things. And if we want to look at it historically, it goes all the way back even to the GI Bill, where many African American soldiers were not in a position to take advantage of the GI Bill. It wasn't offered to them. It's redlining. So there's a historical context to it too. Although I think it's good to understand that, and having that knowledge of it, I think that that we can't use that as a crutch. And I got this book on my desk, and it deals with some of that. It's called The Color of Law. And so we really have to start to unpack some of these things and really get at it.
So I just bought a property in Jackson, Mississippi, back in November. So me and a couple other investors, we drove down there, and we had a flat tire. So we met this guy at the auto store. He was like, "Yeah, I fix tires. Meet me at my house." And we were like, "What? Meet you at your house?" I don't know. I guess they just do things different in Mississippi. So so we drove over to his house, and he started fixing our tire. We started telling him why we were here. He could tell we were from out of town. And he was like, "Oh, you want to buy a house? Oh, they're not going to sell you. These white people not going to sell you no houses. Nah, bro. Don't even think you can come around here trying to buy you some property. Nah, they're not about to sell you no houses." And this was in 2023. So I'm like, yo, this dude is probably in his 30s. He's believing that white people are not gonna sell him property. I'm like, man, dude, like, do you know, like, and I know he doesn't, but like Fair Housing Administration, you can't discriminate against people for the color of their skin, age, all of these factors in regards to selling a piece of property to them. One, you can get a black realtor, if that's what you're thinking. Two, you could work with somebody who is black, or you can get a black lender nowadays. There's plenty of them. So the issue was that like his whatever they're learning
mindset.
Yeah, the mindset.
And Dr. Akbar wrote a book. Michelle, I don't know if when going back to Western, but in Ben Wilson's class, we had to read this book. It was called Chains and Images of Slavery, right? And some of what we're dealing with is some of those things that were instilled in our community long time ago.
Right.
We're still living in the shadows of some of those things.
Yeah.
And unless someone enlightens you, which that's why you should invite everybody to watch the Real Money Coach show, right? Yes. Subscribe, because what we want to do is we want to enlighten people to that there is something different. And I'll tell you, Demetrius, I am seeing a change. I'm seeing a change in our community where more people are, that whole trust issue and the white man's ice is colder and all this kind of stuff. I think a lot of that is going away, right?
Yeah.
I think it still exists, right? But I think a lot of that is going away because we're not just going to sit back and continue to be victims.
Right.
Yeah, no, not at all. Because I know that's something that especially with that car accident that I was in, that really tested my mindset. And it was something that here living in America, there's an excuse to be a victim for everything. Even white people, nothing against them or even nothing for them, but they have reasons to be victims. The Hispanics have reasons to be victims. Asian people have reasons to be victims. Oh, you're letting in these black people to Harvard and you're not letting me in, and I'm a minority. Like, everyone in America has a reason to be a victim, including us. But what I've decided is that I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to be a victor. And that's my mindset. It's the victor mindset. And I put a book in my bio. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like eliminate the excuses and execute. We got to go from excuses to execution.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why I put the book in my bio. It's same link. You click on it. It's free. All of these books are free. It's called Simple Taste, Only the Best. And it's just about getting your mindset right so you can live your best life. And part of that is just, a lot of this information we have is just not true. It's just not true. We just have to just do the simple things like, get your credit together, get your plan, find somebody you trust, work with them, don't try to fight them, just work with them, and then just step by step, buy you a property, rent it out. You might buy it for 60 grand this year. You put another bedroom and bathroom into it. You might sell it for 120. A couple months from now you just made 60 grand on a $10,000 investment. Boom, you got your credit together so you can go buy you as many properties as you want with a 10-20% down payment. So let's say the house is 50 grand somewhere. You just made 60 over here. You can go put 5 grand down or 10 grand down on these $50,000 houses. Boom, you just picked up 5 houses. Now you're making $5,000 a month gross. You're probably netting about $2,400. I mean, you're living good, like, $2,400 a month. You don't have to work that hard. You got a property manager in place. They're handling the tenants and releasing them and the repairs that come up. Then boom, those couple years go by, those $50,000 houses, now they're $100,000. You sell those, you just made you just made $250,000 plus what you put into them. So you probably walked away about 300 grand. You go buy $10,000 each divided by 300 grand.
Right.
About 30 houses.
Continue the process. You can
Right.
Yeah, it's not.
The important thing is you educate yourself, you have a plan, and you work the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's not something you got to be a super genius. You got to get a rocket science degree. Even like in Robert Kiyosaki, if you're like a C student, if you could barely pass high school or college, you make money in this. It's because it's not something you got to be like, you don't have to learn AI. You don't have to learn how to even type on a computer. If you could just pick up the phone and ask the right questions to your realtor, you're good. Like you don't have to do all these things. I will say though that in this industry, the best way to make money is to sit on your hands. Because once you've got the good plan, just don't touch it.
Having a system trumps talent. It really does.
Yeah.
System trumps talent. So, well, listen, man, I can't believe the hour's gone by already, and I certainly appreciate you, being on the show and coming and sharing. I look forward to seeing you in July. Here in the Queen City at the Power Networking Conference. And so with that, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Tune in back next week. We're going to have another phenomenal guest for you. Demetrius, thank you again. Michelle, as always, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was awesome.
Everybody, have an awesome night.
Have a good night.
Sure will.